all of this leads up to the simple fact that Joe Biden is in trouble. And so he is going to go back to the well. And that well for Democrats, as always, is everyone who opposes me is a vicious racist. Now, this worked better for Barack Obama because he was the first black president. Joe Biden is whiter than the backside of the sheet of paper I'm currently holding up. Joe Biden is one of the whitest people in America. He's an 80-year-old white man who is now, who, by the way, served in the Senate with people like George Wallace and talked about how he had been praised by people like George Wallace in the 70s. Not kidding. Okay, so Joe Biden goes down to Georgia and he decides that he is going to rant and rave about how Republicans are trying to steal elections. Now, I have to say, this is truly incredible. It really is. So we've been hearing since November of 2020 that it was the quote-unquote big lie, right? This is, the media have used the term big lie to apply to Donald Trump's contention that the 2020 election was stolen. I don't believe that Donald Trump won the election or that Joe Biden won the election on the basis of electoral fraud. I think there are a lot of things in the election that were extremely corrupt. I think that the rejiggering of election law in Pennsylvania, contrary to the Pennsylvania state constitution, was corrupt. I think in any election with 155 million votes, you're going to get some voter fraud. I think that the media lied. I think the media prevaricated. I think they covered up for Joe Biden's failures. I think that they printed overt falsehoods about Donald Trump. I think all of that can be true. And I still think that the 2020 election was not, quote unquote, stolen in the way that Donald Trump means it was stolen. The media, however, labeled that the big lie. Now, the reason they use the term big lie is it is amazing. The same media that will say you can never make a Holocaust comparison, a contention with which I generally agree, they're consistently making Holocaust language comparisons. When they say the big lie, what they mean is like Hitler's big lie. And they are implicitly comparing the two. There's no question that's what they are doing. In the same way that when they call you a climate change denier, they're essentially trying to hijack the language of Holocaust denial. That is the goal. The goal is to take some of the most charged language with regard to human communication, and then to slide it into all of the American political domestic talk. So Donald Trump was engaged in the big lie over November of 2020. Well, I have a question. If it was a big lie for Donald Trump to say that the election of 2020 was stolen through voter fraud, what would you say if I told you that the Democrats are now contending that every election for the rest of time is about to be stolen by Republicans? That's what they're contending. They're now contending that if the Republicans are not stopped, they will steal every election for the rest of time, which implicitly means that if Republicans win, Democrats are going to challenge the results of the election, saying that the election was stolen. I know that we're supposed to pretend this is only a one-sided thing. It is not a one-sided thing. Stacey Abrams from Georgia contended that the election for governor a few years back was stolen from her, even though she lost by 50,000 votes. That is not Donald Trump's 12,000 votes in Georgia. That's 4 times the margin. 50,000 votes she lost by in Georgia, and she still contended that the election was stolen from her. And this has become part and parcel of the Democratic playbook. In 2020, I know that we're supposed to just erase the history prior to November of 2020 of the election, but you will recall that it was Democrats who were claiming pretty openly that if Donald Trump won, it was because he cheated. In fact, post-2016, Democrats claimed for 4 years that Donald Trump won because he cheated. So now, the new big lie, okay, if we're going to call it the big lie that Republicans lost the election of 2020 at the presidential level because of voter fraud, I'm going to say it's the biggest lie to say that every election for the rest of time will be stolen by Republicans unless Joe Biden gets to completely rewrite election law in the United States from the federal level. That is the biggest lie. You can't imagine a bigger lie. What would the bigger lie be? Really, if I say that one election was stolen and that's untrue, and then you say all elections I lose are stolen, all of them, which one is the bigger lie? And yet the media has no problem whatsoever just trotting out Joe Biden's propagandistic bullcrap. It's unreal. There's less evidence that voter suppression is a massive problem in the United States. Far less evidence that voter suppression is a problem in the United States than that there is some element of voter fraud in elections. Voter fraud is a minor issue as far as percentages of the total vote. And voter suppression is a non-issue because it is a federal crime to suppress the vote, to stop people actively from voting. You can't do that. So what the hell are they talking about? But this is the pitch. And the pitch really is to Black Americans that if you don't stop the Republicans are going to stop you from voting. And we're going to go right back to Jim Crow. Joe Biden, by the way, is not being subtle about this. Joe Biden has been saying for a year at this point, the Republicans are pursuing a new Jim Crow in the South, which is patently insane. There's currently a Black Democratic senator from the state of Georgia. Stacey Abrams is a real contender to be governor of Georgia after being a terrible politician for the past several years with regard to the lies that she has told. Joe Biden, he's constantly bragging about the election results, and then it is wild. I mean, at the same time, you have Republicans, many Republicans who are like, yeah, the election of 2020 was stolen. Sure, I got elected to a seat in Congress in that same election, but the election was stolen. Joe Biden does the exact same thing. He's like, I won the election of 2020, but voter suppression is a real thing. Barack Obama won the elections of 2008, 2012, but voter suppression is a real threat. And what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Again, the idea is everyone who opposes Joe Biden is a vicious racist. Now, here's the thing. Nobody actually believes this. There's polling out from Morning Consult today, and Morning Consult polling shows that Americans literally do not care about any of the issues Joe Biden is talking about. He's not talking to anybody except his base. And in fact, even members of his base are not willing to hear this because they understand that this is incredibly stupid. So Stacey Abrams actually skipped Joe Biden's speech in Georgia last night. She just skipped it. She was like, nope. An aide for Abrams told the New York Times she was unable to attend the event in Atlanta. Despite her absence, Abrams expressed support for the event, welcoming Biden back to Georgia on Twitter. Yeah, there's a reason she didn't show up. And maybe it has to do with the fact that Joe Biden is a 30% approval president in the state of Georgia. And any attachment to Joe Biden kills her in the state of Georgia. Joe Biden had some words about this. He says that it was a scheduling mix-up. Yeah, Joe. That's what, when she refuses to go on a second date with you, it's definitely the scheduling mix-up, not the fact that she doesn't want to go on a date with you, probably. Here's Joe Biden.
I spoke with Stacey this morning. We have a great relationship. We got our scheduling mixed up. I talked with her at length this morning. We're all on the same page, and everything's fine.
And yeah, by the way, the mask is down again, as always. The minute that he gets in front of human beings within 5 feet, he takes the mask down because he is a doddering old fool. Okay, so then on to the event. So the event itself is morally egregious. I mean, truly morally egregious. Really disgusting. If you're going to label people on the other side of the aisle actual black-hating Confederates, you might want some evidence other than Georgia got rid of some of the drop boxes that were temporarily set up for COVID times. You might want to get rid, you might want to provide some evidence other than Georgia's election law, which passed a few months back and is apparently less strict than Delaware election law. But again, this is it's the biggest lie. The biggest lie. All elections will be stolen if you don't allow me to steal elections, is Joe Biden's pitch. Okay, so Vice President Kamala Harris, she led off. He's just dragging her around at this point, trying to make Kamala Harris a thing. You're never making fetch a thing, man. It is not happening. Fetch will not be a thing. And she is terrible. She's just awful at this. I don't know why he bothers trying to trot her out at this point. As we will see, nobody else takes Kamala Harris seriously. Like, how not seriously is Kamala Harris being taken? If Joe Biden were to keel over before the 2024 election, Democrats have somebody else in mind already. Anyway, here was Kamala Harris making the absurdly stupid claim that GOP anti-voter laws are going to disenfranchise 55 million people, pulling this number directly out of her ass.
Across our nation, anti-voter laws could make it more difficult for as many as 55 million Americans to vote. That is 1 out of 6 people in our country.
I would like some evidence that 55 million people are not going to vote because Republicans say you have to show voter ID. Like, some evidence of that would be great. Okay, then Joe Biden gets up there. And again, he's making a pitch on an issue no one cares about. No one cares about this. No one. The entire shtick here is, can I scare black people into voting for me despite the fact I am a crappy president? By the way, I will tell you that the new inflation stats are out. Again, the reason he's doing this is because he is dead in the water come 2022, and he's got real problems come 2024 aside from his own health, which obviously is not good. Now, according to the brand new numbers from the U.S. government, inflation climbed to 7% in December, 7% on an annualized basis. That is the highest level since 1982. December was the 8th month that inflation has been at 5% or higher. That was driven by shelter, used cars, and food. Energy actually fell slightly. Amazing stuff. So Joe Biden, can he scare enough black people into voting for him by shouting that his opponents are Jefferson Davis Confederates? He starts by saying, we're calling on Congress to get this done. Okay, here's the problem, dude. Congress is controlled by your party. You have 50 votes in the Senate. You have a majority in the House. You are the president of the United States. You can't get people to sign off on killing the filibuster for your ridiculously usurpacious voting law because no one backs it. And here's Joe Biden trying to run against a Congress he controls.
Today, we call on Congress to get done what history will judge. Pass the Freedom to Vote Act.
As old man shouts at clouds, we call on Congress to pass the Freedom to Vote Act. Okay, and then he gets even better. Then he suggests that anyone who doesn't back his proposal to kill the filibuster, which until 5 minutes ago Democrats were in love with. In fact, before the Democrats took the Senate, the Democrats used the filibuster about a couple hundred times a year against Republican legislation. Anyway, here's Joe Biden saying that anyone who disagrees with him on this bill is on the side of George Wallace. Again, he served with George Wallace in the Senate, and he used to brag about their relationship. Bull Connor and Jefferson Davis. Jefferson Davis. That's right. If you don't back his proposal to federalize all election procedure, federalize ballot harvesting, force the federal government to overlook every redistricting scheme in the United States, if you don't support all of that, you are on the side of people who actively enslaved black people in the United States and then fought a war ending with the death of 750,000 Americans in order to preserve slavery. You're on the side of those people if you don't back this old white man who actually remembers the Civil War. It is unclear which side Joe Biden fought on at the time. Here is Joe Biden.
I ask every elected official in America, how do you want to be remembered? At consequential moments in history, they present a choice. Do you want to be on the side of Dr. King or George Wallace? Do you want to be on the side of John Lewis or Bull Connor? Do you want to be on the side of Abraham Lincoln or Jefferson Davis? This is the moment to decide.
This is the moment to decide. I feel like the decision as to whether to be on the side of George Wallace or Martin Luther King was like 1968. And we came down on the side as a country of Martin Luther King. And when it came to John Lewis versus Bull Connor, I feel like that decision was made also in that period. And we came down on the side of John Lewis. And I feel like the decision about Abraham Lincoln versus Jefferson Davis, that decision came down circa about 1865. So I'm not sure what he's talking about. He's not sure what he's talking about. All he knows is if he can yell at black people, maybe those black people will go vote for an old white man and his friends. It's truly incredible. I don't know what he thinks his electoral strategy here is, broadly speaking, except he just keeps doubling down on stupid. They just keep doubling down on stupid. It's incredible. Joe Biden finishes up by saying, Trump and the GOP want to disenfranchise anyone who votes against them. So again, this is a huge lie. This is a huge lie. The media won't call it out, but it is, in fact, the biggest lie. That if Republicans win in the future, it must be because they disenfranchise millions of people.
The goal of the former president and his allies is to disenfranchise anyone who votes against them. Simple as that. The facts won't matter. Your vote won't matter. They'll just decide what they want and then do it.
Okay, so that guy is a giant fail of a human. I mean, he's an immoral human being. If your job is that you go out there and you suggest that your political opponents are vicious, brutal, pro-slavery racists because they oppose you on your Voting Procedures Act in 2021, I don't know what to say about you other than you are acting deeply immorally. And Joe Biden is an immoral, dirty, scummy politician. He really, really is. I know we're supposed to pretend that he's pure as the driven snow, while his son is running around the world picking up bags of cash thanks to his last name and admitting it on national television. I know we're supposed to pretend that this dullard is somehow an intelligent human being after riding Barack Obama's coattails to fame, being plucked from obscurity, specifically because he was an older white gentleman. I know we're supposed to pretend that this person, whose sole legislative accomplishment his entire career was the 1994 crime bill, which he then ran directly away from in the last election cycle in order to pander to the woke base. But he is a dirty, immoral, scummy politician, period. And what he is doing right now is dirty, immoral, and scummy. I know we're supposed to pretend that he didn't say about, again, I'm never going to get over this. I will not get over the fact that he suggested that Mitt Romney wanted to re-enslave black people. I'm never going to get over that fact. That is like saying that Mother Teresa was very, very interested in promoting prostitution. Like, what are you talking about? What are you even saying right now? Mitt Romney. I wasn't even saying that about like Donald Trump. He's saying about Mitt Romney. This guy has no limits. He is a congenital liar. He is immoral, and the media refuse to call him out because there's lapdogs. It's unreal. Okay, but people are starting to see down the road, and what they realize is that the doddering elderlies who currently run the Democratic Party, they are in trouble. We're in a battle for the culture and for our values. Like and subscribe to help keep our videos on the front line of the fight and top of your feed.